Hello and welcome to my talk about the need to change after an end of life. And if anyone expects that this talk is about Safe 5, I'm sorry, I have to disappoint you. This talk is not about Safe 5. This talk is about the challenges a developer has to deal with when he is faced with the end of life of his software. But if anyone wants to talk about Safe 5, I'm here for both days, and my colleagues too. They are sitting here in the front row, and I will show a picture of them a few slides after this. Hi. And and you can talk to us at the conference today and tomorrow, or at the parties. And I brought something with me, or someone, because one of my colleagues and friend, Fabian, is, and this is an understatement, is a passionate collector of PHP elephants. And this is what friends are for, so we decided to build a PHP elephant for Safe 5. And it arrived really a few days before the SCD, so it was a logical consequence to bring this little cute new elephant here. His name is Savvy since 2 days. And after my talk, I will throw this little cute elephant in the audience. So maybe this is a good reason to stay here and listen until I'm ready in about 30 minutes. So what is this talk about? As I said, this talk is not about Safe 5. It's about me, a developer who was faced with the end of life of Magento 1 in 2020, and this caused fundamental changes for me. I lost a lot. For example, I lost the certainty what happens in the next years, so I don't know where I will stand in 2026. And I lost my visibility. That's why Niklas asked if anyone knows me, and this question I was asked yesterday too, and this is quite new for me, because in the Magento world I was a really well-known person, so I lost my visibility and I lost a lot of people in the community. So this is a kind of self-help talk or a therapy half hour. So who I am: I'm a developer. I'm a Magento developer on the way to a shopware developer. I studied adult education. I don't think that there is a good word for that in English, Erwachsenenbildung, and psychology, and I never used it, or I use it every day, but I started to develop right after my study. And last year I finished training as a systemic coach, and I learned really a lot about transition. And in my leisure time, I do a lot of sports. I'm a runner. I started boxing, also a nice topic we can talk about. And I do collect. Oh, and I started a training right before I came on stage. And I'm collecting forks, not the technical forks, real forks. So I think I will collect one today. I will start with some psychological principles that belong to an ending or to fundamental changes. And the first thing is that humans are creatures of habit. I translated this idiom, Gewohnheitstiere. I don't know if it's translated correctly, but habits are very, very important for people. Habits and repetitions. And the second thing is that people are afraid of the new and the unknown. And this is called neophobia. This is a very gentle word for a negative thing, but neophobia. yeah, is why advertising works. Because advertising makes you familiar with the product and then you feel safe. So this is how the brain works. The third thing is that people feel destabilized, feel that they are not longer stable when they lost their familiarity. Like when they lose their jobs or their or a relationship, then they feel no longer stable. And this happened to me too, people have a lack of foresight. People don't think about the things that happen in the future, about their current habits. So this is why people smoke or drink alcohol and they don't think about the effects in the future. And in my case, I really never thought about the end of life of Magento 1. For me, how many of you say shopware instead of software? This happens so often to me. So, yeah, I never thought about the end of Magento 1, and it happened very, very surprisingly. So, the results of these four, the habits, the neophobia and destabilization and the lack of foresight, may be that people are afraid of the future or have fundamental worries. Maybe they have a loss of self-esteem. Now, this is a word I don't like, the loss of self-efficacy. I learned a few words for this talk. Self-efficacy, Selbstwirksamkeit was one of them. Another was voluntary. I know volunteer, but I didn't know voluntary. And neophobia was also new for me. So, yeah. Then when you are faced with a fundamental change, you go through 4 phases. The first phase is denial. So you, this can't be true. An end of life can't be true, and this doesn't happen. So the next phase is crisis, and then you are very afraid and you have neophobia because you don't know what will happen next. The next phase is exploration, and from now on you are looking up and you explore new possibilities. This is the phase I go through currently. And the last phase is acceptance. So then you accept the new situation and the fear of change subsides. Subsides is also a new word I learned for this. So an end of life has 3 facts. The first is, surprise, surprise, an end of life always, really always comes completely unexpected, even if it is announced for years. The second is that no one asked me. So an end of life is not voluntary. And as I said, self-efficacy is very important for people, and an end of life is the opposite of this, because people like to have the control over their future and their actions, and an end of life means that you don't have the control. And an end of life comes always at the worst possible time. In my case, the end of life of Magento 1 took place in 2020, and this was the year where people were busy with washing hands or getting their injection. And I didn't thought about the end of life of Magento 1 in that year. And even we started with Mag 1 in this year. So for me, as a developer, as a freelancer, I have no thoughts about the end of life. So I had to go through 4 challenges. The first challenge was to find a new software. And I took a look at 4 systems. These 4 systems Shopware, Silius, Magento 2, and Shopify. And these were my criteria. It is important for me as a single developer and a one-woman show that the software is suitable for a single developer. And this means that the software can't have too many technologies. And I looked for documentation, so don't bash Shopware because they have documentation. This is more than I had when I started with Magento, and I looked at the code to find out if the code quality is okay. And that's what I did. I installed every software, if possible. I took a look at the source code, and I talked to people who already installed or work with that software. And I attended conferences and presentation as possible because it was Corona. And I searched for problems in forums. And for example, it's good to search for the customization of the checkout, or if it's possible to separate, or how long it takes to separate street number from street name. And a Magento 2 guy told me that it takes 4 days in 2020 to separate street number from street name in Magento 2. And this was the moment where I eliminated Magento 2 because I was sure I cannot sell this to my customer. So I eliminated Shopify first because I cannot read the code. Then I eliminated Magento 2 because too many technologies was one reason in 2020. I don't know how it is today with Hyve, but in 2020 the template was horrible. And then I dropped off Silius. A little bit sad, to be honest, because Silius is a great system. It's also based on Symfony, and the code quality is very good. The lines, for example, the class lines are no longer than 100 lines. But in 2020, Silius hasn't enough plugins for the German market. Yeah, that's the reason why I decided to work with Shopware, and this is why I'm here on stage. And I was very happy because when I started with Shopware, I was a little bit afraid that I now have to work with FTP, but I was happy to see that I can work with Composer and development tools. So the second challenge arrived when, after my decision was made, the loss of knowledge, because when you work more than 20 years with software, you have a lot of knowledge that is no longer needed. And so in 2010, I had the same knowledge as in 2020, and this was my knowledge, Zen Framework 1 or prototype. No one uses prototype. And these were my feelings. So I felt really outdated the moment when the end of life took place, like a dinosaur, or dusty, irrelevant, obsolete, or I like this word too, an expert. With these technologies, I had to deal in 2020. And what? So I took a look at the list, and in this moment I was totally overwhelmed. Of course, I knew some of these technologies, but this is quite different to working with these technologies. And for that reason, I was very overwhelmed. I don't read all the feelings, but the feelings are very confusing, and if you tend to procrastinate, you will never start to learn. So it was a really hard decision to start learning and to find a point to start. So the result of this phase was learning. Yeah, the next challenge is about community. Community is very, very important for me for several reasons. One of the reasons is that community for me is about sharing knowledge. It is totally important to talk to each other and share the knowledge. In the early beginning of Magento, we had no documentation, no tutorials, no blog posts, or a few or less, not many blog posts. So it was so important to talk to other people to get knowledge. Another reason why community is so important is that we share really a lot of memories. With these guys, I share a lot of memories during the years. For example, on the picture below, we drove from Denver to Las Vegas to a conference. And yeah, the guys on the picture below, here it is, are my colleagues of SAFe 5. So remember their faces if you want to talk about SAFe 5. This is Fabian, the reason for this, Rico and Toby in the front row, and the girl on the picture, and this is really important to know, is not me. This is Claudia. Claudia works at Shopware. And I don't know why so many people think that we are the same person, but really many people think that. So if you go home from this conference and you remember anything, then that Claudia and me are two persons. This is about sharing knowledge. So, but I met already some new persons, some new guys, for example, Niklas and Edin, and I'm happy that we are now doing advertising the Shopcast FM podcast together. And I don't know if you all know Swaggy, because I was so happy when I looked up for the illustrations that I found one with a cat that is red. And this is why, yeah, Swaggy is also on this picture when I talk about community. So the goal, activities, what I all did in the community. I organized Stammtisch. This is not translated for reasons, because Stammtisch is not a meetup, it is less professional. Meetups are very well organized, a Stammtisch isn't it. A Stammtisch is only a table with people around and they're talking about their problems with the software. And so I organized this for Magento 1. Then I'm part of the organization team of the Unconference, and I'm a speaker. I was here on several stages during my Magento years, and I wrote really a lot of blog posts, and I think that I'm so well known in the community, in the Magento community, because I was able to write very sentimental about community events. And in the shopware world, I want to do this also, but I had no time to finish my homepage. And for that reason, no, I didn't write any blog posts at all. I want to speak again on stages. That's why I'm here, and I'm a part of the organization team of the Unconference, of the Shopware Community Unconference, and I tried to organize a Shopware Stammtisch. And for that reason, I asked the Harman brothers if I can use the word Shopware in Shopware Stammtisch, and they said yes. And then I organized a Stammtisch around Christmas, and I crafted this cute lantern for this Christmas event. I cut the logo off. I don't know if you can see this. And only 2 persons came, and these 2 persons were from the Magento world. So, yeah, so I brought this lesson with me because I think this must be shown. So the result, community, I want to get to know more of the Shopware community, and this is also a reason why I'm here. Yeah, the next challenge is about visibility. As I said, the level of visibility in the Magento world was high. For example, my Google ranking was very good. I was ranked with the search phrases Magento freelancer, Magento developer, and Magento Entwickler on rank 1. I had a lot of follow on Twitter. I was known because I was a speaker and I was well known in the community. And for that reason, I had the freedom to choose with whom I want to work. For example, I really hate phone calls, and I could choose customers that don't call me. And I had up to 5 requests per day. I don't know why, but there weren't that much Magento freelancer or Magento developer in the world, so I had really a lot of requests and the freedom to choose, and I had the self-confidence to say what price I want to take or what hourly rate I want to have, and I decided the way I want to work. This was really great. So I work with about 20 customers as a freelancer, and 11 of these are still on Magento 1. I already switched 5 to Shopware. 3 are currently in progress, and I hope I will launch them this year. And I lost 2 customers in the early beginning, and it's funny because they went to Shopware, but I weren't able, at the moment they asked me to do what they want because I didn't have the experience and the knowledge to work with Shopware because the shops had a lot of customizations. And I got zero new customers because I don't have any time, maybe also because of Save 5. So the result is that I want to become more visible again because I really like to have the freedom to choose. So summarize, humans don't like involuntary changes. Humans avoid fundamental changes. So if you are a developer and you are on the way from Shopware 5 to Shopware 6 and you don't feel very good with this change, this is totally normal. So, but you have to go through. So a transition takes time, a transition makes sense, and a transition takes a lot of energy. So, and now I have some bonus slides. I want to make bonus slides since I saw someone to show bonus slides, Brent Peterson, at a conference. 1 minute 40. Ooh, I speak a little bit faster. So, right this way. Why this talk is headlined with Right This Way? This is because at the Magento Imagine 2018 were thousands attendees, and they had to go through a large, huge hotel, casino hall thing. And from one hall to another, there were these people holding these signs to show them the way. And I felt in love with this sign immediately. And I asked the woman if I can have the sign, and of course she said no. So I started to Twitter, can I have this sign? And yeah, of course, no one answered. So I did it with a little bit more pressure the next day, and I Twittered again, can I have this sign? And I told them where I am at the 3rd day. And yeah, after the 3rd day, I get the sign. And and the funny thing was that this sign was too large. It doesn't fit in a suitcase, so I had to take it with me in the plane, in the car, in the train, to take it with me home. And the year after this conference, the same conference took also place in the US, and here I took this sign with me to New York, to San Francisco, and to Los Angeles, the third. And people asked me, well, did you really took the large sign with you? No, of course I didn't. So I crafted a small one and took that with me. And yeah, I think you know what happens now, because my transition is only completed, or I only feel really home here in the Shopware community when I get a new sign. So please, Shopware, I'm hopefully here next year, and I want to have a new sign. So this is the end of my talk. At null, cool. And thank you. And now, I tried this yesterday, so I really hope. So, yay! Thank you very much. I don't know if you have time for question and answer. I think not. Oh, sorry.
Nice. Hi. You threw stuff at people. Spoiler, we will do that again later this day. It will be me. I have maybe a harder throw. We will see. Okay, questions and answers regarding the end of life. Grave topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it is not. Do you have any questions right now? If not, it's okay. But if you do, now is your chance. Yes, we do have one question here in the front. Where's our runner?
How did you convince your customers of the transition to Shopware 6?
Some of them asked me by themselves, and they trust me totally, so I didn't need to convince them to Shopware 6. They asked me, what do you think is the best system for us? And I said, Shopware 6, and they said, okay. So I didn't need to convince them.
How would you have convinced them if they needed to be convinced?
They can't work with me if they choose another system, and they really love to work with me. You want to have technical answers.
So first bit would be to appear as the expert to your customer, earn their trust, and then you are the instance who decides. I think that's a good answer. Become an expert to your customer. Okay, anyone else? A question? Okay. I don't see anyone. That means thank you very much
for
being here.